If you've never been out here, buy a ticket, bring your family. If you've ever wanted to take your kid or your family to a professional baseball game, this is the place to go. It's not gonna kill your budget, and you'll be back.
Hey kids, Fool here. Welcome to Fancast. Today I have a really special guest. His name is Don Betke, and he is a Facebook super fan. He's a Chicago Dog super fan, but we're getting him on here because he's one of the top fans on Facebook, and we want to get to know all our friendly fans. So, Don, welcome.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks for having me on here. It's really a pleasure and an honor to be, asked to be interviewed for you. So I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And like I said, we love having all the fans on here. And I've been wanting to talk to a lot of the Facebook top fans, the real super fans. Um, but before we talk dogs, we've got a lot of dogs talk to get to.
Okay.
I'd like to actually get to know you and maybe your alter ego. So online, you are Earl
On,
DeGnome.
online, I am Earl DeGnome. Some of you have probably met him there before. He is probably the one and only Chicago Dogs gnome. He is a former White Sox gnome after we gave up on the Sox. So I build models, so it wasn't too hard to change him over into blue and all red.
There you go.
And the logo actually came from one of the little hot dog or the ice cream cups. So, and people, he's been at the things, he's been at the World Series parties, and people have asked, where can I buy one? I said, I can't build any more of these. This was enough doing that one. So he has his own Facebook page. My wife started long before I ever had one.
If you're ready to talk dogs, I'm ready to talk dogs. How about you?
Let's talk dogs.
Okay.
Let's go.
Do you recall how you first heard about the dogs?
Like most other people, I know my wife had seen when they started to announce the team. It was on Channel 9, and
Oh,
she told me about it. And I wasn't much for internet or social media back then, but I started looking into it. And we live in Morton Grove, so we're 15 minutes away.
okay.
And I had also heard about the stadium being built. So I'd drive by, and I think that was before the team was even. I think it was about the time the team. I think they came along at the same time. I think the team was announced. In that regards, I'm kind of a noob. I don't know all the pre-story history for the dogs, but I just
Okay.
remember it, and it was closer. It was probably going to be more affordable than Major League Baseball, and it looked like fun. The whole thing leading up to it with the dog, with the name of the team, and I think they already had Squeeze as a mascot. It just looked like it was going to be a great time.
Yeah.
Major leagues, unfortunately, have priced a lot of people out of being able to attend a lot of games. So this is, we have seats behind home plate. And when I tell people how much our seats cost, their jaws drop. And to me, it's baseball. I don't, I've heard people say, "Oh, it's minor league." It's baseball, and I love it. And like you, I've seen you out there before, and I've seen a lot of the other fans, and it just adds to there's a little subculture of the other fans, and you kind of see each other, and you wink and nod and say hello and all that, and it's like a lot of people that just started going with us are dogs fans now.
Yeah.
And I host an outing. Well, Earl hosts an outing once a year in the Miller Lite section. It fills up every year. I have to turn people away. And
Wow.
it's just, and everybody loves it, because they love the park. It's, Saturday night, so there's fireworks and it's fan friendly. The park is close. Like I said, it's $3 to park.
Yeah.
What can you do at White Sox Park for $3?
I don't know. Not much,
Not
probably.
much. But yeah, it's just, and you can go on the field and meet the players, and it's just all the open house and everything else that the team does for the fans. It's really geared towards being a very fan friendly experience,
Yeah,
which,
for sure.
in these days of everything entertained being expensive, there's a great, return on the investment that you spend. You get a lot back from it too. And
Oh,
the team gives a lot back too. And I know they get it back in, the fans' response.
sounds like you were there from the very beginning then, season one, right? Do you
Yeah.
remember the first game you attended? You said you didn't go to the very first home opener, so
We did not go to opening day. I think we went that weekend series.
Okay.
So it probably would have been game two or three.
Yeah. How fun.
And, I think the first season was probably about 5 or 6 games. We'd, pick out weekend games and stuff like
Yeah.
that, and then as it grew, I think last year, I think we made, not counting the playoffs, I think we made 14 or 15 games.
Wow.
2019 was the first Earl DeGnome night, and it's Earl DeGnome and friends. It goes up on the board.
I've
It's got a
seen that.
picture.
I've
That's on
seen.
it's on his Facebook page. He just that's in its fifth year. We only missed the 1 year because of COVID. Try to do all the other functions that they have. Yeah, I think on the average, including playoffs, we're probably over 20 games. It's a great time.
It sure
It's hard
is,
to
isn't
beat it.
it? Hey, do you want to give your ticket rep a shout out? A shout out? Who do you have?
Like I tell people, I got a guy, Evan Gersand is great. Since we started doing the first outing, anything we need, we're gonna. She got me a night at the Rivers Club for birthday present this year. So we've never been, we've been up there for the functions, but we've never been up there to watch a game.
Yeah.
So Evan, I know Alex, I correspond with them, but Evan's my main guy.
Yeah. All right.
Like
Yeah.
he is probably for a lot of other people too. So
Yeah. Well, the whole sales staff there is amazing, but
yeah,
Evan's a
they
great
are.
guy. Yeah. Have you ever attended any road games, Stan?
No, and that's on the plans for this year.
Okay.
We're looking probably up Milwaukee. I always say Kane County, and then it turns out that for something that doesn't happen, I'd love to go to Kansas City. But there's a couple. I mean, you got Lake Country, you've got Milwaukee, you've got Gary, you've got Kane County. There's so many teams that are close by.
Right.
It's almost like for us, me and my wife, it almost would be more like of a it's coming up, the weather looks good, let's go.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So
And
but
and,
yeah,
and
so far we haven't done one yet, but it's in the plans.
all right. Well, good. I hope you get to go. They're all the
Mhm.
other stadiums are really nice there.
Yeah.
Um, Speaking of games at Impact Field, have you ever played any of the promo games, Lucky Dog or Trivia's?
My wife did the trivia contests. I've sat in the beach chair a
Oh
couple
yeah,
times.
the
Um,
horn, yeah.
but some of the other trivia things, no, I let other people do that. You
Sure.
know, for a while, I didn't know how. I'm thinking the same people are doing it all the time. How does it happen? And it's like, duh, just walk up to the guest services and
Right.
ask. So she did the trivia contest. I haven't done the Plinko, whatever I can't think of it.
Yeah, yeah,
My name's kind of
Lucky
lost right now.
Dog. Lucky
Oh,
Dog.
Lucky Dog, yeah. I might do that this year just to
Yeah, if
see.
you can get to do that, that's a fun one for sure.
Yeah. But it's fun to watch on the screen, and it's the same thing. In between innings, there's always something going on,
Yeah.
and
Oh
a
yeah.
lot of it's kid related. So that kids going there's a ton of stuff to do.
Yeah, it's
So
always fun for sure.
yeah,
For
it
sure.
is.
All right, Donnie. Well, let's do some food talk. What is your favorite food or beverage at Impact Field?
My favorite beverage is the $2 cans of hams on Thursday night.
Okay.
I have drinking hams pretty much all my life. That's another thing I got from my father.
Okay.
So going there, I like the Chicago dog. I also like the popcorn.
Mhm.
I'm also very excited for the fact that the food offering, now that they've got another catering service, the food offerings, because
Yes.
that's one of the things that when they ask, it's always been, there's kind of, other parks have been doing it. So I'm kind of looking forward to see some of the other stuff they've got this year. I'm a beer and a hot dog guy, like Bogart with the steak, the steak and at the Ritz and stuff like that. I'm pretty when it comes to baseball food, it's that and peanuts. I'm pretty simple.
Speaking of hot dogs, how do you like your hot dog?
I like it with everything. And if you're going to ask what my favorite place is, it's down, other than at the ballpark, it's Gene and Jude's.
Yeah, they're
But
not too far away. Yeah.
yeah, I like it. I like my dog with everything on it.
There you go. Yeah.
Just simple and double dog's even better. But that's how I like mine.
There you go. Well, here's another related to hot dog. Is a hot dog a sandwich? What do you, how are you on that?
It's meat inside of a bread. I consider it a sandwich.
Okay.
I don't know what else people would think of it.
Right, right. Well, I like a burger. Is a burger a sandwich? I guess it is, but yeah, yeah. There's
In
the
a more traditional sense, it is. What do you think it's a sandwich?
I don't. I tend to think of hot dog as not a sandwich. I don't know
Okay.
why, but it's yeah, like you said, it's just a silly.
Yeah, it's open for discussion.
All right, let's put our chef's hat on. And I'd like you, if you could create a signature dog all your own, start with a plain hot dog. What are you putting on that hot dog?
If I'm going to do like the outrageous style stuff you see at ballparks now, I love to have my smoker going. I've got three smokers.
Wow.
Um, a little bit of pulled pork on a dog or some brisket on a dog.
Ooh.
Um, with a nice, not real outrageous sauce on it would be good.
Mhm.
Um, I would just say, here's a Chicago dog, eat it. You don't like it, it says no ketchup on the shirt for a reason. I understand the kids things, but you got to teach it. Your parents got to teach your kids young that ketchup is, that's for meatloaf sandwiches when it's cold the next day. That's what ketchup is good for. Um, you caught me off guard with this. I mean, yeah, I would something like that, or even, you know, bacon wrapped,
Ooh, all
bacon
right.
wrapped dog.
There you go. All
I'm
right.
not big on the guard. I mean, I like the stuff. I'm not big on the guard, the garden stuff on a dog.
Right.
I
Right.
want to when I have a dog, I want to take, I want to taste the dog, the stuff. The
Yeah,
other stuff adds to it, but if it's not a decent dog, you're just
true.
throwing crap on it. It's like I've had a Skyline chili dog. The crappy hot dogs. No wonder you put chili, crap on it because you're covering up a crappy dog. So
All right. Well, I love it. Sounds like a delicious dog. I'd like to take a bite of that one for sure. All right, let's move on to game day memories. Are there any favorite memories from any games in particular for you?
I think the game that they was it 21 where they when they clinched to go to the Wolff Cup
Mm,
the first time. The
yeah,
first time they did it, that was that might be it. I mean, the opening days are always special, but that's opening day. That's kind of its own animal.
sure.
The game they wanted to go, and they were all out on the field taking pictures,
Yeah.
and they were probably still. I'd say there was still at least 1,000 fans in the stadium
Hmm.
cheering them on. You know that I mean, it was their moment, but they were so close. They shared it with the fans, and
Right.
I got to watch the Sox win the World Series on television. I
Wow.
didn't get to go to a game. But being there for that, even though they didn't win it, and they haven't won a World Cup yet. I'm not going to say they won't win one.
Right.
It's just a matter of time.
Hmm.
They're going to win one. But seeing them clinch it that night, I think that was my favorite. It was my favorite moment, and since then it has been. But that first time, just to get there, anybody that's played sports to get to be able to get to a championship,
Hmm.
sometimes the championship's anticlimactic, just being able to say you won it. But watching those guys, watching the kids on the field, and you could see the look of relief on their face. And I also think they wanted to win it for Butch too.
Sure. Sure.
It was just, it was the team that came together, they won, they had fun doing it.
Hmm.
You know, there were egos, but it wasn't egos that clashed.
Right.
That moment, seeing them sitting out on the field, right down the third baseline, all sitting, some were sitting, some were standing, taking pictures,
Yeah.
the cigars, you saw beer flying. I think that was my favorite moment, Mike.
Awesome. Awesome. How about any favorite players or player interactions?
Um,
Are you an autograph guy or do you get
I
to?
am not an
Okay.
autograph guy.
Okay.
I kind of collect. I get some autographs and stuff because when I have that, we have our night at the game. A lot of
Mhm.
the like some of the giveaway stuff, I'll raffle that stuff off
Okay.
just to the other people that are there. Favorite players, got to be Johnny Turbo. Johnny is actually last year when New Earl came out when we went to the family day, the preseason game, and
Mhm.
we're going down the line. I didn't want I had them sign the card so I could give it away
Oh, okay.
the neck I so I could give it away.
Yeah.
But I think I'd rather talk to them and
Sure.
say hello and say welcome to the team than a little bit of Sharpie ink doesn't do much for me.
Yeah.
But the chance to meet some of these guys
Mhm.
and even for a time we talked about hosting one here, but I don't think it would really, fortunately, I think by the time he got done, if we fed him the way we eat, I think he'd be out of shape and I don't want to ruin somebody's career. So
Bacon wrapped hot
yeah,
dogs.
bacon wrapped hot dogs and smoked meat all the time. And, When you come back from a road trip, it's in the fridge. Just go grab it. So
I love it. Oh, funny.
I was gonna say the only other memory is we went to the All-Star game.
Oh, yeah. Was that amazing or what?
Yeah. And we were
Wow.
sitting where we sit behind home plate, and there were a couple scouts there from the Yankees
Wow.
and Red Sox, and just to
Wow.
talk to them and find out what are you looking for in these
Hmm.
guys? What separates them from major league guys?
Right.
Just so we talked for about 15 minutes, and
Oh,
that
neat.
was really something you can't really, you could do it there because they
Yeah.
were hosting the game and they were sitting in the same seats with
Right.
the fans. So really, that was another experience that was really fun that I still remember.
Well, let's talk about Impact Field. The Impact Field is so beautiful, and that's obviously, I think, the first thing that just attracted me was like, wow, this place is amazing. So, can you describe Impact Field for those who have never been?
If you've never been there and you've never, I try to explain to people that have been to a major league stadium or people that have never been to one.
Mhm.
It is, first off, it's super fan friendly. It's easy to get to.
Right.
It's parking is right next door. Um, Everything you need is right. You're not lost in this giant. And compared to a major league park, you're not lost in a giant maze.
Right.
You don't have to be in your seat to see the game. There's no obstructed seats. Um, you have a flight. It's almost like having an air show with traffic taking off from O'Hare.
Yep.
Um, you've got the noise and the stuff of the expressway going by, so it's not the quiet, sedate setting of some of the other little minor league parks. But then again, it's Chicago. It's supposed to be the bustling city stuff. So I think, but there isn't a bad seat in the house. The interaction with the players is they're right up there. I go down by the bullpens, and you always see players talk. Kids leaning over talking to them and stuff like that. For a minor league park, the dimensions are good,
Hmm. Hmm.
but it's a very nice place to go spend an evening or a day watching baseball at. To be able to go out on the field and stand there where they're standing, where they
Yeah.
play, is really, even for an old man like me, it still brings back a lot of memories. So
Yeah.
I think the fact that it's kind of open, it adds a lot of airiness to it. It's
Right.
not enclosed. I think when they built it, they knew. I think the first thing they did is they wanted to give them a great playing surface and great dimensions. Then I think the next thing was we're not going to build just a minor league park with some seats and fans can sit there. I think they built it with a fan experience in mind,
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Yeah, and that's why I love it too. It's like you said, it's open, it's 360, so you can walk completely around the
Right.
paddock there. And I also love the buzz, like you said, the airplanes, the traffic, and it feels like big city, like you're in the big city,
Yeah.
but it's suburban access
Right.
and small town prices. So
Mm-hmm.
it's just I just love being there. I love the buzz, just
Right.
the electricity in there.
Yeah. So do I.
Yeah. All right, well, finish this sentence for me. I love dogs games because.
It makes me love baseball again.
All right, simple, and right
Yeah.
to the point, right to the heart.
And they did.
Yeah. All right, Donnie, I am going to grant you some magical powers now, a magical wish. You are going to be GM for a day. What food or drink items would you add to the menu?
Well, I think adding the menu items that they have coming out, I think would
Okay.
have been the one thing I would have done as opposed to the hot dog, the hot dog hamburger. That it
Mhm.
was a little, that was very plain.
Sure.
And I thought for a team named the Dogs that they couldn't do something more, a specialty dog. Other than the
Hmm.
traditional Chicago dog. Drinks, I like Mountain Dew, but they're a Coke park.
Yeah.
But food wise, I one of the things that I would have done, they've been doing for years. You go on Sundays and it's a bottomless,
Mhm.
popcorn. Like I said, I'm a basic ballpark food guy.
Okay.
Some of the other stuff that I look at some of the stuff that they have in parks, and it's just like 2 foot long hot dogs with 5 pounds of fries on. It's like, who eats this stuff? I
You-
don't get it. Like I said, I think like some of the my mind could probably like something with the bacon wrapped dog, something
Yeah.
like that. I would put a pulled pork,
Okay.
you
There you
know,
go.
I'm the other thing I could do, and it would be kind of hard to do for a ballpark setting, would be a cheese stuffed burger.
Ooh, that
As a
sounds delicious.
the juicy
Yeah.
Lucy, I do the but that takes a little bit of time. But
Yeah.
something like now that if you want to do a signature burger, everybody else is piling crap on stuff. Put something inside the burger.
There you go.
You
Okay, I
know,
like it. I like
yeah.
it. How about any different theme nights? Any kind of theme nights you'd think, oh, this would be really fun?
Find a Chicago minor league team, or or an old Federal League team or something like that that played in the city, and copy their uniforms for a game.
Okay, I like that.
Or
Yeah,
take do something like that and take do a dog's take off on it.
there you go. I like
Have
it
have a classic D on the hat as opposed to the hot dog. Chicago's got a lot of baseball history
for
that
sure.
you don't have to mention the two other teams that nobody wants to go see because they're never going to win anything again. So,
You never
but you could
know.
do something like that. I think that'd be something I'd look into.
Okay, I like it. And I was going to ask you about giveaways, but I know for sure one now that I've met you, a gnome, a garden gnome. The dog should have an official
That's
garden gnome.
that's what they
Where is
do.
it? There he is. Yeah.
When they asked that on the Facebook page, they
Oh,
asked, "What should we give away?" And he wrote, "You should give away a gnome." Not me necessarily, but they could do a gnome night.
I would love that. That would be
I
the
think
most
that's
fun.
one of the few things they have. They got some great giveaways. I mean,
Oh
everything
yeah.
that and it's all really nice stuff.
Mhm.
I think they've done a couple bobblehead nights.
Right.
It's time to move into gnomes.
There you
You
go.
he's lonely out there. A lot of times he just sits there on the upper deck in the third level, watches the game because,
That's funny.
they
That's
do
for
got a
sure.
lot of great giveaways. And like I said, it's quality stuff. So it's just
Yeah,
like, you know, it's just an added incentive to come out to the game.
for sure.
They don't
Uh,
need it to draw people there. It works. And
yeah,
obviously that's why
yeah,
they're doing it. But
right.
it's just, they're not, it's not giveaway junk. Hot dog costumes. We were there that they've given some of those away as they've gone further into playoffs. And that
Yeah.
was, I'll finish with this, but one of the things I had was a new hot dog costume. And my nephew, Tyler, I thought he'd see some of the other stuff on the table. He's just going to have the hot dog costume. He put it on. He wore it the rest of the game with the hot dog
That's
costume on.
funny.
He was a junior in high school then. So, it's stuff like that. And,
Yeah,
they hold the record for the most hot dog people in a hot dog costume in the game. Who's
right.
going to break that, Mike?
Yeah.
Who's going to break that record?
Well, that's a nice costume too. And you
Yeah.
still see a lot of people wearing
You
that
still see
costume.
a lot of
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
You see a hot dog lady. I see her over in the
Yeah,
third row.
Lori.
But,
Yep. Yeah, Lori.
she's there. If people ask me if I'm going to wear it out there, I'm like, I've got one, but it's kind of my time has passed in it. I got a couple jerseys now, so I'm
Yeah,
happy
it
with
gets
it.
a little toasty in that too, I'm
Yes,
sure.
it does.
All right, one last question for this section here. You get one at bat. What is your walk-up song?
I've thought about this. I would want no walk up song because
Oh,
I'm an old school guy.
okay.
But if I had to, being a wrestling fan, it would be Ric Flair's walk up song.
Okay, I'm not,
It
is that, I don't know that one
would
offhand.
be the Space Odyssey.
Oh, okay, there
It'd
you
either
go.
be that or Back in Black.
Oh, all right, awesome.
But
That's good.
otherwise, I wouldn't have. I sit there now and it's like I'm old school. You
Yeah.
play softball, you're lucky just to show up. But I think I'd go and people would say, "There's no music playing. The house must be broken or something like that."
What's going on? Does Earl go to every game?
If I'm there, he's there. He might be in more games than I am because he can get a limousine service and stuff like that. But yeah, he goes to every game. He stays out in his upper deck suite up in the third level. Sometimes he comes down to the game opening night. He'll be down in the
Oh,
seat.
that's funny. I love it.
He
I
comes
love
out for
it.
that. Yeah, and then of course now it'll be this year's the fifth annual at GNOME night. So that's I always do the last Saturday home game.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's the next to last game of the season.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's
That's Earl's night then.
yeah, I worked that out with Evan, so that my
Oh,
guy,
fantastic. Yeah.
yeah, get that, and so I always book that way. The minute the schedule comes out, he gives me a call, and then
Yeah.
I put money down because I want
And then
that.
which section is that then?
That's in the Miller Lite bullpen section. The sun's not in your eyes.
Yep.
You
Yep.
got a beautiful, and it's really a great, it's really a great section to watch the game from if you've,
Hmm.
you walk around the park to be
Hmm.
there. But it holds 60 people. The price is good.
Yeah.
The food and beverage packages are good.
Nice.
Everybody that people keep coming back. They don't, I have had very few people that don't come anymore. But it's
Hmm.
just, it's a nice little get together.
Yeah,
I'd
I
love
love
to do the Leinenkugel section up there, but I don't have 175 friends.
it.
So
Oh my gosh.
yeah, you
One of
get it
these
all by
days.
yourself, but it's also cool over there because the kids are hounding the visiting bullpen. I
Yeah.
said
Oh,
give them
that's true.
keep asking for baseballs.
Yeah.
Bother. It's good for the game.
Oh, the kids. I love it. All right, Donnie. Well, we're going to wrap it up here.
Okay.
This last section is called Final Pitch. And again, the reason I started this show was mainly to get to know fans like you, and hopefully bring in some new fans. So, do you have any special message for anyone maybe who has not yet come out to see the dogs, or for the fans that you do know?
If you've never been out here, buy a ticket. Bring your family. You're not going to spend a whole lot of money. You're going to see some great baseball. You're going to be entertained. You're not going to be bored. The games go quick. Go on a fireworks night. Go on one of the theme nights. Even then, or they have the Wednesday afternoon games where it's sold out with all the kids groups. There's always something going on. There's always they got the kids section down behind the third baseline. We can throw they can throw the ball and all that stuff. So there's always something going on. But if you've ever wanted to take your kid or your family to a professional baseball game, this is the place to go. It's not gonna kill your budget, and you'll be back. I think you start to see the same people over and over, and it's just a testament to how well they run winning helps, but it's also a testament to how well they treat the fans,
Yep,
and that's
absolutely.
why I would recommend it.
Absolutely. All right. Well, kids, that's the end of the show today. I want to thank you, Don, for joining us. If anybody wants to follow Earl online, can you tell them how to do that?
Yes, you can go to Facebook and look up Earl E. I should have wrote it out, but it's all when it's Earl
We'll put it up
DeGnome,
here.
capital D, small E, capital GNOME. You'll find him on there. He makes friends with everybody. He doesn't post anything that he wouldn't let his youngest niece do. There's tons of gnomes that have Facebook pages. That's how the whole thing started.
That's funny. Yeah.
But and if you're going out to a game or something, let them know if we're out there. I've had lots of people pose with them. They posed with them at the World Series party. So it's like
Fantastic.
it's just part for me. It's part of the fun.
Yeah. I'm sure you and I have walked past each other 100 times, and I've never seen Earl there. So I'm definitely going to be looking out for you and Earl.
Yep.
I got to get a picture with Earl this year for sure.
Well, once the game gets going, I'm kind of in the seat watching the game.
Sure, sure.
So, but if somebody, beforehand, the gnome's got an ego out the yin yang. So pretty ladies and girls get he'll pose with everybody, but pretty ladies and girls go to the front of the line. Mike, no offense, but
He's a smart fellow, that Earl.
yeah, he knows where his bread is buttered.
Yeah. Oh, funny. Well, fans, remember to follow the Fool. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube and TikTok this year. It's chidogfool, CHIDOGFOOL. Same on all platforms. And then make sure you give this video a like and subscribe and all that fun stuff. Leave a message, tap the channel, subscribe. Donnie, thank you so very much for doing this. I'm so glad I got to meet you finally, and I can't wait to see you again this
Yep.
year. And
And
and Earl, I can't
yep.
wait to meet Earl.
It was an honor being asked, and I enjoyed it. This was a great time.
No.
Like everything else with the dogs, this was fun. So
Great. Thank you so much. It's great to meet you, buddy.
let's go, dogs.
Bye.
I'm Earl the Gnome. Follow the Fool.